Hello, Pisces. Welcome. Take a seat and relax. There is nothing you need to do in this present moment except to relax and enjoy your reading, Pisces. And to start your reading off, Pisces, we have card number 16. And my card about surrendering is basically the Hanged Man in my card. And so what this surrender card is talking about is that you're going through a situation that you want to change. You're going through a situation that you would like to look different. You're going through a situation that you think is wrong, that you think is bad. But it's not. It's really just a situation. So this is my card about surrendering. So in this scene, Pam was struggling. There was this lady who kept trying to get in their van because outside of their van, it said in Korean, the van of Hallelujah Church of Scranton. So this lady thought that this van would take her to the church. And she didn't know English. So she kept trying to get on, and Pam kept trying to control the situation, and she tried to correct the situation, but she kept having no success. So after being tired of the events that were happening, she stopped struggling, and she just lets the old lady in the van. She was going through so many other horrible things that this thing that she was trying to control, she just said, screw it. Just let it happen. Just let the lady in the van. So the situation is asking us to stop fighting and to let what is happening happen. Relax. Let go. Do not be scared. Be relieved. Everything happens for a reason. There is no reaction needed at this time. So drop the controller, sit back, and enjoy the show. We have the Knight of Cups and the King of Wands. And they both have their back towards each other. And the King of Wands is mad. So this looks like Pam. Look at that. And that same. Yeah, right there. And then that's Pam right there. So Pam is this King of Wands. And she's angry. And the Wands is all about movement. And the King is all about control. So the King of Wands is about controlling its movement. Right? Because fire, if you don't control fire, fire spreads quickly. And it does a lot of damage. And but when a fire is controlled, it can be very useful. It can be a great tool. Right? We cook with fire. We warm ourselves up with fire. Fire causes an explosion that makes our cars go vroom vroom. So fire is very important, and it is very destructive if not handled correctly. So the Knight of Cups and the King of Wands feel like two different energies, right? Imagine fire, the way fire moves, the way fire behaves, compared to cups. Water. You see water and it goes. Water goes. Cool thing about water is that wherever you put the water, it's going to adapt and it's going to fill the space that it was poured in. Water also finds the lowest ground. Right? Fire doesn't care about the lowest ground. Fire just keeps eating and munching and I want more. But water just flows, and it flows towards the lowest ground until it can rest, right? And then that's when water stops moving, when there's no more like downhill, and then it just chills. It surrenders to its environment. So it feels like this. We used to be in this King of Wands energy, or we are still embodying this King of Wands energy. And the cool thing about the court cards is they're like different tools that we can use in different situations. So same with the zodiac signs, right? So I'm a Pisces. I'm reading to you Pisces, right? But that doesn't mean that we can't embody Virgo traits. It just means we are better at the Pisces type of energy and characteristics than we are at the other ones. But it doesn't mean that we can use the other zodiac signs and their characteristics to our at our expense, right? We are we have all of the zodiac signs, we have all the characteristics within us. So this situation wants the Knight of Cups energy. It wants you to embody this Knight of Cups energy. So what is that Knight of Cups energy? Well, I already kind of explained a little bit about the water. So the Knight, compared to the King, right? The King has established order. The King has established his kingdom. The King already has his rule set in the place, and then he can kind of relax, chill, and rule over them and correct things if they need to. The Knight of Cups, the Knights are like the go-getters. The Knight is the one that goes and saves the princess, right? So imagine that type of energy of saving. Oh, I need to take care of this, right? Oh, I need to save this. So, but we're talking about the emotions, right? Pam was going through some emotions while this was going on. And then that's what caused her to finally cease to struggle and to just let what's happening happen and let the old lady in. So now imagine the characteristics of a knight, of one that goes and saves the princess, but of cups, that understands emotions, that he saves emotions. He doesn't want you to be in those bad emotions. The knight fills the place that it is poured into. So water, yes, changes its environment, like rivers and stuff like that, right? But the water usually fills the environment that it gets poured into. But it does cause a footprint, right? Like rivers, you know. The water, first, it follows the guidelines, but then as it gets more energy, it starts imprinting it to its environment. And it imprints this Knight of Cups type of energy. So you really need to focus on your emotions. You need to save yourself and listen to those emotions. Okay, so sometimes logic is what saves us, and other times, like this time, our emotions is what's going to save us. And you want to protect those emotions. You want to save those emotions just like those emotions are trying to save you. But these emotions are not having a good time because you are trying to control the situation. You are trying to fix the situation. And since the situation is not being fixed and controlled like this King of Wands would do, well, our emotions are going to be affected. We're going to be pissed that we can't seem to control the situation. We can't embody this King of Wands. But right now we just gotta go with the flow. We gotta surrender to what's going on. We gotta let what's happening happen because there is something that we can learn from this situation. What is it? I don't know. Let's find out. Change and abundance. Cool. So change, right? We already talked about the change. We need to change from this King of Wands type of energy, embodying it, to this Knight of Cups type of energy. And just like we can change from one energy to another, life, our environment can also do the same. So maybe before we were in an environment to where we needed movement. We needed you to put control, stand ground. We needed you to control the situation. Right? So life was putting you into events that required this, but now it's also changing. See the change, the Wheel of Fortune. It's a major arcana. Major arcana are things that happen to us, not things that we are in control over, because that is, there's an in and there's an out. There's an us, there is an other. There are two opposites, cold, hot, right? Major arcana are things that are bigger than us. Minor arcana are things that we are in control over, that we can affect, that we can do. So there's a change happening in our environment, which is requiring a change in our inside. And that change is to focus on, instead of focusing on movement, is focusing on results. We want to focus on our emotions, on how we feel, and how things are making us feel. Because that's where our lesson is going to be. And then we have abundance here, which is the King of Pentacles. Abundance. Which is interesting because in this scene, these three weren't very abundant. They just started their paper company and they couldn't afford a delivery driver, so they had to deliver all the paper themselves. They had to keep doing all of these things themselves, right? So they've been working a lot. They weren't very abundant. They weren't getting much money. They were on the beginning end of things. But this change where Pam ceases to struggle, where she surrenders to the divine, where she surrenders to the major arcana that are putting her into a different situation, into different life events. This is like playing a different game, right? We were playing this King of Wands game and we got very good at it. So life was like, all right, let's try something new. Let's try something different. Let's focus on a different skill that we can hone in on and develop. And that skill is the Knight of Cups. So it's about your emotions. It's about saving yourself and saving your emotions. And these emotions are telling us information. And we want to take care of ourselves. We don't want to feel like shit. And this changed though, because it started from the outside and then you changed the inside. So now it's now the outside's turn to play, right? It's like chess, right? White goes first and then black makes a move and then white responds and then black responds to that response. So that is a game that you are playing with life. But this Knight of Cups energy, this listening to your emotions, this season to struggle, this trusting of what is going on, is going to bring you abundance. And instead of having to work hard, like these three were doing, like Michael Scott Paper Company were doing, well, now you're going to be able to enjoy life and relax. Have a good time. Do what you love. Do what you enjoy. Doing your hobbies. This guy doesn't need to be anywhere because he is already where he needs to be. That is more of that Knight of Cups type of energy instead of that King of Wands of needing movement. This guy, he has moved where he needed to move. He's going to move when life wants him to move. He is happy where he is. He is happy on the go. He just has a good time and enjoys wherever he is. He surrendered to the divine, trusting in himself, trusting in the universe, trusting that, even though I named two different things, they are ultimately one and the same. Ace of Swords, truth, Nine of Wands, strength. Cool. So it feels like Pam trying to fix the situation. She was not in her own truth. It required strength for her to go through other difficult things and for her to be like, all right, you know what? Whatever is happening needs to happen. The more I'm struggling, the more I'm hurting myself. The more I'm hurting my emotions, the more I struggle. So I'm going to stop struggling because I don't want to hurt my emotions anymore. And when she ceases to struggle, when she stops moving, and when she stays still, when she just sees things for what they are, she starts embodying her own truth. She starts to live in truth, live in reality, right? Instead of one that she wants to happen, right? Because that's good for certain things, right? But for understanding life and for understanding your environment and why you are here, it's better for us to remain in truth. And truth, this reality truth, this is almost like saying, hey, trees are brown and their leaves are green and their wood is brown and they plant themselves in the ground. See, those are all kind of truths, right? That's kind of reality, us looking at reality. Imagine me saying, man, I want leaves to be, I don't know, I want leaves to be gold and I want the bark to be red, you know, and you try to control a situation and you're struggling because it's hard to, how can you do that? How can you turn a tree into something that it's not, you know? So this almost feels like embracing your own power and your own strength while allowing everybody else around you, or allowing the environment around you to be able to embody their own strength as well. Because that's kind of one thing that's kind of hard to do, right? So say for me, example, right? I used to be very anxious and very depressed, and a lot of those things. And I worked very hard on myself and on treating myself better, on taking care of my emotions, right? Like this Knight of Cups. And when I kind of figured out why I was, having a hard time, when I finally figured out how to at least take care of myself a little better, I started to notice the ones around me and how they are treating themselves and the ones around them. And then at one point, when you see the solution, you kind of want to tell everybody, hey, stop doing this because here's a solution and here's how you can feel better, right? But mostly other people, if they don't want to feel better, they're not going to feel better. No matter what you say or do or tell them or show them, they aren't going to want to feel better, because if they don't want to feel better, they won't, right? And that is their power. So you have found your own power, and you realize that other people have their own power, and you don't have to control other people. You don't have to make everyone else feel better around you. You just have one job, and that is to make sure that you are doing okay, and that you are feeling good, and that you're taking care of your emotions. And there's no point in controlling other people, because they are their own people. They have their own power. They have their own strength. And if they do want to feel better, then gladly you will help. But there's no more, I want to help because I want you to feel better. Feels like now, even though it sounds weird, it's like giving them respect and respecting them enough to let them drown in their own sorrows, drown in their own pain, because sometimes that is necessary, especially if you do want to change. Well, if you don't want to change, right, embracing yourself in this pain and diving into the deep end is how you're eventually going to get to want to change. But, that's, like I said, that's all on them, right? Just like everything that you've done with yourself was all on you. And there's no point in controlling other people, even if you have good intentions, right? We still got to let other people learn how to empower themselves. And that is truth. That is reality. Cool. All right, let's get some last bit of words of advice from the Office Oracle deck. Ooh, that one flipped right over. So I think we're just gonna do one. Card number 21. Yeah, we're letting go of something, whether that's people, whether that's situations that we figured out, hey, we don't like this. Because this card is my grass is always greener card. Michael says, you know what's funny? I used to stand in here and wish I was out there. Now I'm out there and I wish I was in here. Some events happen in our life just to remind us of what truly matters. Michael became a salesman when he found out that he could earn more money, but he wasn't happy. He realized that the only thing he really, really cared about was being manager. Grass is always greener. He used to stand in here and wish he was out there. Now he's out there and he wishes he was in here. Right, there is an in, there is an out. There is a hot, there is a cold. There's being placed into situations that we don't enjoy, just to remind ourselves of what it is that we do enjoy and what kind of situations are that we want to be in. Grass is always greener. So this is about relaxing and letting go. It is about being comfortable in the place that you are, even if it's not something that you want for the long run. Point is, you are in this environment right now, so there must be a reason that you are, right? And when you find out that reason, I promise you life is going to pick you up and be like, here you go. Here's somewhere else. We just wanted you to see something over here so that you can enjoy this other side even more. All right, Pisces. Well, I really hope this reading helped. If it did help, please help me as well by leaving a like, leaving a comment, and subscribing if you would like to keep hanging out, as this is a safe place where we try to figure life out together. So thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace. Peace.